Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Dr. Ace video. Today we're playing MotoGP 18 for the first time here on YouTube, and no, your eyes do not deceive you. That is Valentino Rossi, virtual Valentino Rossi, the legend, the icon, the true hero of MotoGP. And without further ado, we're going to get into this Termas de Rio Hondo circuit here in Argentina. Bit of a time attack mode for you guys. Rossi doing his signature style, checking the knee sliders, and he's gonna crouch down, speak to the bike, and really get focused. Signature style. Pull the leathers from the crack of his bottom. Valentino. So, MotoGP 18. It's finally here. I've had about 3 days of playing it. I bought it digitally, just so for the purpose I could play it at midnight, as soon as it launched. And so far, if I'm quite honest, my opinion has been somewhat mixed. I've had some great times, but I've also had some kind of shoddy experiences, somewhat to do with the graphics. The graphics look great, but look crap at the same time. Now, like in the pits and looking at the displays, the dashboard, everything looks so clear and crystal. But I'm finding on the tracks they look somewhat blurry. I mean, on the PS4 Pro, it does look good, but it looks dull. It looks somewhat dark, and I don't particularly understand why. I mean, the sun is absolutely blazing here in the Argentina sky, and I can't see why it still seems so dull. It might look a little bit better on the video. I've yet to see what the quality is like, but so far the impressions, apart from the graphical sides and stuff like that, I'll get into a few more details sooner or later. Oh my goodness, I have been playing career mode with my Moto3 rider, and putting the throttle, pulling the throttle back as far back as you can doesn't usually result in a massive wheelie. Of course, with the Yamaha YZM1, that would happen. So first and foremost, I'm going to start off with the handling. The handling on the bikes this year is awesome. It feels great. I mean, when I first started playing it, it felt different, somewhat familiar, but somewhat different at the same time. It still felt good, but some of it felt kind of crap. And what I've found as well is that if you push really hard on the throttle outside of corners, etc., your wheel slides all over the place and you do not do very well. And it took me a while to figure that out first. I know it sounds silly, but with MotoGP 17, it didn't really find much of a difference with really pulling that throttle outside of the corner. So once you've hit your apex and you're throttling away, didn't really see much of a difference, but with this one it seems to be you really do slide the rear tyre, which is awesome. It feels great and it looks great, but a few tracks in the Moto3 career, in my career mode with myself, I've found the AI on extreme difficulty to be a little bit over the top. In the qualifying sessions, I'm a very smooth rider, or at least I like to think so, but in the qualifying sessions I tend to find they just literally blast you. They blitz you so, it is just ridiculous. So I don't know what it is and why I just couldn't keep up with them. I mean, I don't know if extreme difficulty is really extreme, because every single year I've played MotoGP 17, well, all the way up since MotoGP 13, and the hardest difficulty has never really been that difficult. So it's great to see that there's more of a challenge, but they may have gone a little bit too much with extreme. Although I've started to win a few races, and I did win the championship in the Red Bull Rookies Cup on extreme difficulty with pro settings. So it can be done, and it will be done. But what can I say? I mean, the thing is, it's MotoGP. It's the only video game we've got to play of MotoGP. So I'm kind of lax in the sense of that if they just bring out a video game, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna buy it. And it sounds kind of silly, but it's the only MotoGP fix we're gonna get in the term of digital scale. I mean, we used to have the Superbike games, which were incredible, I think the Superbike games were a little bit more realistic, and MotoGP is finally going down that route. I mean, the presentation of MotoGP has been great for quite a while now. 17 was really, really good, but of course MotoGP 17 had the biggest thing going for it, which this game does not, and that is 60 frames per second. The frame rate is only 30 on MotoGP 18 and 60 on MotoGP 17, but that was due to Milestone's in-house technology. The in-game engine that they used was the Yebis 3 engine, I believe it was, and of course now they're on the Unreal Engine. So unfortunately they've had to take a little bit of a step back with the frame rate, and it is noticeable, especially since, for like myself, I thrash MotoGP 17 quite a lot, and to play that in 60 frames per second compared to playing this in 30 frames per second, it is noticeable. But nonetheless, it's not a showstopper. I'm getting used to it. I've not really noticed it in some instances, although when you do crash, you kind of feel like an animation has started, as if you will, or a cutscene has started in a sense, because there's a little bit of a delay. There's also quite a bit of a delay in the loading times in this game, and you know, 21st century, 2018, loading time should not be an issue for any game, let alone if it's just an Italian company. But nonetheless, I digress on the loading times. So going back to the handling though, the handling is great. Unfortunately, I've not actually spent much time with the MotoGP bikes. I have spent most of my time in Moto3 and the Red Bull Rookies Cup, and I thought they felt really, really good. Well, the issue I had with the Moto3, the Red Bull Rookies Cup more than the Moto3 bikes, is the understeer was just ridiculous. You know, it came to the point where I had to literally just brake in the corner to ensure that I could make the corner. Basically what I'm trying to say is, I couldn't hold the throttle or gently bring on the throttle. I had to push the throttle, brake, throttle, and then brake. It seemed very unique, and it's not how I envisioned playing it. But other than that, I think I found the right method now, the right setup. Because I did find in one of the races in the career mode, I think it was in Qatar, my first one in Moto3, I literally had to ride like an idiot, maybe cutting the rumble strips, barging people out of the way, and that was the only way to keep contact with the front runners. And this was on extreme difficulty, so I'm not sure if it's meant to be that way just because it's on extreme. But I did drop it down to realistic just to see if the difference, and realistic is ironically more realistic. So maybe extreme is more for the experienced veterans. I mean, a bit like myself, but maybe I've got to get a little bit more used to MotoGP 18. But there's some good stuff that they've had. I mean, like the signature style of Valentino Rossi doing his little bit of a ritual before he gets on the bike. Awesome. You know, I'm a big fan of NBA 2K18 and NBA 2K games because of their attention to detail, the way they capture the realism of the players, and I've always wanted MotoGP to go down that route. I would like a little bit more in the sense of, you know, podium celebrations, which I do believe they have. I've just yet to play MotoGP class. They don't in the Moto3 class, or at least I've not seen any yet, and they didn't in Red Bull Rookies Cup, but I have seen in the trailers where Rossi and Marquez and Dovi were all celebrating. So we shall see. But so far, I am really enjoying this game. I love MotoGP, so it's great to finally get my updated fix. We've got the latest bikes. I just invalidated the lap already. But yeah, overall I'm going to say I'm happy with it. At first I was a little bit dubious and was thinking, oh, okay, I expected just to pick it up and kick ass like I did on MotoGP 17, Valentino of the game, 15 and 14 and 13, etc. But it's good to see that there has been a bit of a change. It's a bit of a wake-up call, if you will, for us MotoGP fans. So I'm kind of happy with everything. But they just need to sort out the graphic side to this, because this is in 4K, full HDR, but it looks dull. It looks dull and bland, and I don't know why. It looks dull and blurry. And hopefully the video doesn't show that. Hopefully the video is nice and crystal, but But I am actually trying to get a decent lap time here around the Recordo of Tomo circuit. Not going too grand, but maybe if I concentrate on these next couple of laps and try and get some decent laps in. So a good thing they've added this year as well, in the bottom right hand corner of the screen where we have, I'll just flick right, we now can control the engine braking. So when I obviously de-accelerate and take my hand off the throttle, we have the engine brake, which will try to do it to myself. I can lower it or completely turn it off, which is really cool, and it does make a difference. I found some of my better lap times in the Red Bull Rookies Cup was without the engine braking on, so I'm going to turn the engine brake off and see if that makes a difference, as I just invalidated that lap as well. Oh my goodness. There's quite a lot of heavy braking points in Argentina, so I think I'm going to mention my next point, which is the braking. The braking feels fantastic this year. The braking feels really good. I found myself going a little bit wide in a few corners because I just find that pushing too much on that front brake, and that's it, you're a goner, just like it would be in real life. So it's really good, and there's also movement on the brakes. I've preached this for years in MotoGP games. There is movement on the brake. I mean, look as he brakes, the rear wheel is skipping, it's sliding across the tarmac. That is exactly what we see in the real class, in the real championship. So it's great to finally replicate that in the game, because people like Marquez, Andre Iannone's overtake on Marquez this year in Austin, Texas, he was like a bucking bronco trying to brake and trying to get past the world champion. And that's what I want to replicate. I don't want to just brake from 210 miles an hour just quickly, nice and easy, all smooth. And sometimes you can't brake smooth. Sometimes you have to brake a little bit out of control, if you will. So it's great that we're seeing stuff like that. But the way the bike bounces in a few of the corners, the suspension feels good, and I really like the concept in the career mode for developing the bike. At first I was thinking, okay, this is kind of dodgy. I mean, we've seen it before in other MotoGP games, and they've never really worked that well. But it does seem to be doing really well in this one. I mean, you do a certain test, so you do either a braking test or you do a stability test. Excuse me, not a speed trap test. And I forgot what the other one is. Oh, a perfect trajectory test. We have to just try and keep him with the racing line. Of course, I turned the racing line off, but for that mode, it is on. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Enjoying it. At first, my career mode with Red Bull Rookies Cup, I enjoyed it. Although I made a bit of a mess up in Assen, and I tried. Oh my goodness, I invalidated that lap too. And I made the championship pretty difficult for myself, but I did prevail, as Adrian Carrasco could not hold off the 23-year-old rookie, Dr. Ace. So we preached in my last, I say we, more so me, I preached last time in my last video that I wanted to see a little bit more action in the crowds. I wanted to see a little bit more things happening. And unfortunately I can't really see much happening in this particular track. But Mugello in particular, they have replicated that really well with all the yellow smoke, the red smoke from the Ducati stands. It's really cool. The pit itself, as in the actual area where the riders all sit, is great. It looks really cool. You can see obviously the face scanned riders such as Valentino, Marquez, etc. They have all sitting there, and you do get a sense of realism from that. And it's unfortunately it's not Codemasters with F1, but I'm still happy with it. It looks good. So with the pits, they do look good, although the actual pit lane and the pit entrances, they look a bit bland, as I'm going to go very, very wide into this corner. Oh, as I almost dropped the front then. Oh my goodness, that was a bad crash. I think did the bike get really filthy then? Or was that... I thought it looked really, really dirty. Also to note that they have the winglets on the bike this year, which looks great. They look exactly like they do in the campaign, in the in the championship. So it's good to see. I will try and do a good lap time soon, but I'm still yapping away. A little feature that I don't know how they thought of this or why they thought of this, but it suits me to the ground absolutely perfectly. And if you set your eyes into the bottom left hand corner of the screen, you will see the turn numbers and the turn names. Unfortunately, Argentina doesn't have any named turns, but that feature to me is one of the best features in the game. It's so small but yet so perfect. Especially for me, I like to memorize the track, the names, the corner names, and the actual. Oh, I mean, a little bit too hard on the brakes there. So, seeing the actual turn names, so going through Mugello, you've got Poggio Secco, you've got Arrabbiata 2. Sometimes I know all of the tracks and the names, but I just might forget the order that they come in. The worst one for that is in Jerez. I always get Ferrari and Angel Neto. It might be the Cito Pons corner actually. I can't remember, but basically I always bugger it up. I think in one of my videos, the same with Le Mans actually for that matter, with the blue S's and oh my goodness, I've gone wide again. I've been playing on with the Moto3 bikes, and the difference in the braking is huge. I also don't want to brake too hard because I just know I'm going to go way over the handlebars. What's the tyres on it? You see, the tyres look absolutely fine. Okay, this lap, this is going to be not much talking. We're going to try and concentrate, and we're going to try and nail a good lap here. Well, no promises, but I'm going to try. In fact, also I've got something else to mention actually. The rear brake is so realistic on this one this year. Finally, the rear brake actually serves as a purpose. If you rear brake too much, the rear wheel will step out, and yeah, you can drift the wheel a little bit, you know, you can slide it out and it looks really cool. But if you hold on to that, I mean, I have mine set to square. If I hold on to square a little bit too long, then it's good night Vienna. It's really good that way this year, because I mean, I have passed people with the rear brake really pushed down, and I've basically slid past them, and it's looked absolutely epic. Foolish, because I'm going to lose a lot of time in those corners, but it looks really, really good. That familiar right leg of Valentino Rossi comes out. A little bit wide into that corner, but I should get a good exit speed here. What do you think about the lean angle this year as well? I'd say pushed a little bit too hard. They've made a much better improvement with the... How was that invalidated? I didn't even touch the... What the hell? What did I do wrong? But anyway, yeah, the lean angle looks a lot better this year. They actually hang off the bike like they're supposed to, not just sit there as if they're glued on it. But I think what we need is... whoa, my goodness. I think what we do need though is the riders to maybe bounce a little bit more in the seats. So maybe... Because I know if you try and throttle too much and the rear wheel steps out a little bit, then yeah, we do see it in those situations. I've just invalidated that lap as well. My goodness, maybe we should restart and just... I've got so much to say, so that I'm not really concentrating on the lap times. I think it's my first impressions video of any MotoGP title for that matter. But it would be nice to see the riders sort of react a little bit more to the corners. I mean, they do really well coming out of the corners. I mean, even in the helmet cam, we'll see when. Oh my goodness! So I'm gonna brake really hard here. We will see when I tuck in. You should see the helmet sort of come over and then back through into the visor and then hangs off it. Oh my goodness, I just did it again. I have yet to master the helmet cam, as you can see, as I'm just going off into the kitty litter. Oh, I also have off-track help turned off, and it does make getting back onto the track somewhat difficult. Now, on MotoGP 17, I was really good with the helmet cam. I never really played with it, but I was actually pretty decent. But as you can see, it does feel quite natural, the way the rider moves his body, moves his head into the behind the bubble and then back out again. But we're gonna enter the pits. I'm gonna go back into the pits and just see how we got on. I think we're literally only. Oh, what's that? The next lap will also be invalidated. Oh my goodness, I was not paying attention. Whoops. I would get black flagged for this, but we're in time attack. It's all good. I can't believe I just did that. I was not paying attention. I was reading that in the left. I've never seen that come up before. So yeah, pit lane. I mean, what's happening here? There should be people, there should be fans, there should be excitement, there should be anything. But this looks great. This looks really cool. Again, it's a little bit quiet, but it still looks really good. So I think a few more touches yet, but the actual presentation, the way everything looks, you know, they have the exact same presentation as they do in the real sport. Oh, that I literally only completed one lap. The rest were all invalidated. So yeah, we are going to try. Let's go for a bit. Let's go for 5 laps, and we're going to try and beat our lap time that we set on the original lap. I don't think it was too difficult to beat. As Valentino prepares. Hands on the foot pegs. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the lead that's coming out of his backside because we went for the flying start. So once the autopilot gives me back the controls, we are going to attempt the best lap we can within the 5 laps. No promises it's going to be anything spectacular, but what we can do is we can revisit this in maybe a few months' time, maybe a few weeks, maybe a few days, whatever it may be, and we can see how well we can do. So obviously, unfortunately, I've not really played much of the MotoGP class. I have just been doing career mode, and I've also been trying to get the platinum on Crash Bandicoot 2, which I have now achieved. A little bit off subject, but there it is. So we came out of that corner beautifully there, and we are going to set the fastest sector. Up mine just less than 0.2 of a second. As we brake very hard into turn 5. My goodness, turn 5. Have we seen some carnage? Have we seen some action? Have we seen some amazing things in turn 5? So we are now up by just under 0.6 of a second. We're going to brake very early here because I keep messing this one up. A little bit of rear brake there just to pull the bike in a little bit closer. As Valentino hangs off of the Yamaha. I'm going to brake again. I'm using a little bit more rear brake there. Still trailing the brake into turn 9. Oh, a bit of a wheelie there. I remember Jack Miller had a massive moment there. Was it this year or was it last year? I don't remember. I think it might have been this year. And he was literally a bucking bronco coming out of that corner. So into turn 13. Oh, I'm braking. And there we go. That's our first lap. I'm going to invalidate this lap. Oh my. Whoops. So we have invalidated this lap, but we're still going to continue nonetheless. I'm cutting the rumble strip there. I wonder why the Ghost is not leaning. The Ghost looks kind of weird. Also noticed as well, just before I started this, you can download other Ghosts and play against them. I always like that feature because you get those ridiculous people who glitch the leaderboards, obviously, but there are some really good, talented people on MotoGP, better than me. So it's good to see them sometimes. To see how they take things and how they utilise the bikes. I do remember MotoGP 10, 11. For some reason they called them 10, 11. Then you had 09 and 10. And I was 7th in the world in Silverstone, Moto 2 class. I think it was with no, it wouldn't have been Pol Espargaro. It might have been. I was 7th in the entire world on a legitimate lap time. And the people above me, they were all... Actually, no, tell a lie. They weren't all illegitimate. One or two of them were quite legitimate. It's probably one of my most crowning achievements. I think on Drive Club bikes I hold the record on one of the things, but nobody really plays Drive Club bikes, so it's nothing to brag about. Not saying the 7th in the world on... Oh, I came out that corner beautifully there. This is the lap, people. We break into turn 1. I think Lorenzo went down here last year, maybe. I think he did. And how about Lorenzo anyway on that Ducati? Jorge Lorenzo taking his first victory in Mugello. Now, I have a very love-hate relationship with Jorge Lorenzo. I really like him, but he comes across as extremely arrogant. But apparently he's fantastic with his fans, so I'm not going to go with that assumption that he is arrogant. But I suppose with the rivalry between Valentino Rossi, etc., and everything happened in 2015, it's really good to see Jorge Lorenzo getting back on and joining the very elite class of riders who have won on 2 manufacturers at least. Now, it has been announced he is going to the factory Honda team next year, the Repsol Honda team, joining Marquez, and I think that's incredible. I've said for years that Jorge Lorenzo, if he ever leaves Yamaha, the only team he should leave for is the Repsol Honda team. I think it's going to be perfect, and Jorge Lorenzo is going to be practically, I'm not going to say untouchable, but it's going to be interesting, and I don't think Marquez and Lorenzo are going to be friends much longer on that bike together. Now, I don't like saying this, but Danny Pedrosa, in a sense, was a pushover to Marquez. You know, he would I don't know how to say this without sounding a bit disrespectful, but he didn't have the same drive, didn't have the same push as Marquez. And it seems that whenever in the races, if Danny was leading and Marquez came, Marquez could be the most brutalist person in the world to Danny Pedrosa, and Danny would have nothing back to give him. And, you know, team orders or not, Danny Pedrosa is a very talented man, but he never had the same gumption as Marquez does, or anyone else well, not anyone else, but some of the other riders. So, but Lorenzo has. So if there is any bully tactics from Marquez, Lorenzo's probably not going to take it. You know, he's going to give it all. He'll give it his all. He's probably going to even beat Marquez. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm very, very intrigued to see what's going to happen. We have still got 2018 of MotoGP yet to go, but 2019 already is going to be. It's going to be epic. I can't wait to see it unfold. But still, 2018. It does look like Marquez may just end up running away with it. God, I hope that isn't the case. I mean, I hope that's the case. I hope that's not the case for anyone. Seeing one rider just dominate is not fun. You know, again, I'm a basketball fan. Golden State Warriors, they just dominate every year, for example, and that isn't fun. And it certainly isn't fun because I'm a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, and yeah, forget it. Wonder how that's working out for us. So yeah, good to be back on YouTube, people. I've had a little bit of an absence, as I usually do, but I will start trying to do a bit more videos for you, as I've just invalidated this lap too. And I may call this the last lap because I've got some stuff to do, unfortunately, but I am trying to put a video out there for you guys, try and give you my first impressions. Well, ultimately, my impression would be, if you're a MotoGP fan, buy this game already. In fact, why haven't you already bought this game, is the question to you. But if you're not so much a MotoGP fan, or you can wait a little while, or maybe you don't have the funds in your wallet right now, then give it a few weeks. wait, follow Milestone, follow them on Facebook, any social media websites you've got, and just keep up to date with them. Hopefully they will be delivering some patches. I believe it looks fine on the Xbox One X, but everything else, and the PC, but everything else has suffered with the blurry graphics and a few little other issues, maybe just a few tweaks along the way. But I'm pretty sure they'll fix it all. I mean, they did have issues with MotoGP 17, and they did fix them. Not all of them, but they did fix most of them. So we'll see. In fact, I am going to do one more lap, because that was an invalid lap. Let's push as hard as we can. I don't care whether we crash, whether we explode, whether we die, whatever happens, we're going to go for it this one. I've invalidated it already. I do apologise. My cat just literally jumped up onto me. I thought she was going to knock my mic over, and yeah. So, no good lap. We will still push nonetheless against my virtual self. But yeah, thanks for watching anyway, guys. I appreciate you. A bit of a long video today, but I just thought I'd chuck something out there. Some first impressions, some of my thoughts. I think I've got a bit more to say, but currently off the top of my head, I didn't make any notes or anything. So, top of my head right now, I have nothing else to give you. But which is good, because I can always bring out another video to deliver more thoughts. And of course, Valentino Rossi, thank you for being such a great host, demonstrating your skills of invalidating laps. I mean, of doing well on the track. Well, this year, come on, Val. We love you, Valentino. We need you to do well this year. Took third place in Mugello, back on pole position. You're the hero. You're the doctor. We need you. Shout out to JP anyway, if you're watching this video. Shout out to you, JP. Thanks for helping me out with the zombies lately on Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Shout out to Joe. You're just a dude. Always are a dude. My favourite American friend. God bless you. Shout out to Bianca Blue, my friend from across the water in South Africa. Shout out to you. You're awesome. I always enjoy chatting to you. And I think that's it. I think everyone has had a shout out. I love all my subscribers, all 91 of you. It's not a lot, but by heck, you do try. So thank you. And I'm going to shut up now, because I want to try and get this lap time. I've been thanking you and getting all emotional and all. And I'm going to go wide in this corner. I crashed. Tears in my eyes. Never mind. Oh, wheelie! Oh my goodness. I'm going to end on a bang. Well, that concludes this video, so thank you very much for watching. As always, please like, comment and subscribe. Comment if you have anything to say. Maybe my riding sucks, tell me. Maybe you like my riding, tell me. Maybe you want to see more videos. I'm going to surprise you and say tell me. Thanks people, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Ciao.